Good morning. This is Adinath from iPod Automation. Welcome to our Advanced Industrial Automation using PLC training session. Today we are going to learn the following topics on Advanced Industrial Automation using PLC, like what is automation in industrial definition, role of automation, history of automation, relay, that is foundation of industrial automation, connecting PNP, NPN, 2-wire, 3-wire sensors, then analog sensor, need of PLC, advantages of PLC control system, PLC system overview, PLC versus PC, fundamental of PLC programming, understanding ONS, OSF and OT instruction, and hands-on demonstration on LM-ready PLC. What is industry? Industry is nothing but the systematic economic activity that is related to the manufacturing, services and trade. Non-economic activities, we do not call it as a industry. We can say the NGO. Or then automation. What is automation? Automatic, motion. The automatic motion, the set of technology which used for machines and processes to do the task automatically. Then what are the elements in industrial automation? In this topic we can see the in an industrial automation we have the softwares, we have hardwares and IO devices. In a software we can say the SCADA is there, LabVIEW is there, IoT is there, Visual Basic is there. In a hardware we have so many types of controllers, PLCs, IO cards, data acquisition systems, the controller cards, and IO devices like input sensors, indicators, transmitters and so on. What is the role of automation in industrial definition? See, industry is nothing but a systematic economic activity. Then main motto of the industry will be the profit. Then profit is nothing but the price per unit minus cost per unit into production value. So if we choose the automation for any production or any the product, then what will happen? Price per unit will reduce, the uses of raw material will reduce, ultimately price will reduce and production value will increase in dramatically. So our profit will increase even if we reduces the cost to bear in a competitive market. Okay, then what are the different types of automation? There are 3-4 types of automations are there, like fixed automation. Like in a fixed automation we have a process flow of fixed things, like the distillation process, or we can say the conveyor, production conveyor, anything that is fixed. The bottle will come, bottle will detect, bottle will fill. As soon as bottle fills, the capping will done, and after labeling it will go into the next process, like that. Then programmable automation, where some changes will be there, like the PCB manufacturing. Each and every time Gerber data will change, the process on the PCB will be different. And flexible automation, this is more flexible than the programmable automation. Then last, integrated automation, where advanced computing processes will be involved, like IoT system, where computers, PLCs, machines, image processing and all these things are integrated together. The complicated systems are, even internet is there, like IoT. Then what is the history of automation? What was the history of how automation evolved? Very first there was the manual control, then pneumatic control evolved, then hardware logic, then electronic control using logic gates, ultimately PLC. What is manual control? All the actions related to the process control are taken by the operators. Operator will see the current requirement of a system, adjust the things and get the job done. So what is the problem behind the manual control is the production, safety, energy consumption and uses of raw material are all the subjected to the correctness and accuracy of that operator. If operator is skillful, your job will done correctly with less scrap and better quality. If operator is pressure or operator is not enough skilled, then your job will not done, and proper manual, also raw material will be consumed and you will not get the desired output. Then next, in 1920s, pneumatic control is involved. All the processes and things are be controlled by means of pneumatic valves and mechanically operated pneumatic systems. What are the drawbacks? The systems are bulky, involve lot of lever, longer project time, and if the pressure is drops or some leakage is there, entire system is collapsed. Then hardware logic control is evolved. In that, the contactor or relay logic is used to achieve the certain things. In this case also, the panels are so bulky, wiring is so complex, project time is too long, it is very difficult to maintain and troubleshoot. Okay, this was the hardware logic control. From that, the PLC control is evolved. Also, we can today also we used to say the relay ladder logic. Relay ladder logic means nothing but the replacement of hardware logic into the soft relay logic. After hardware logic control, the electronic control using logic gates evolved. In 1960s, the electronic logic gate first time introduced in industrial automation. It has very good advantages over the hardware logic and previously pneumatic control and manual control. Like it reduces its the space requirement is very low due to this is just a chips and it has the ICs on that. Also the energy saving as it required only 5 volt supply. Maintenance is too low and it has very greater reliability. But the major drawback of electronics control using logic gate is the change in control is not possible. If you want to change the control, you need to change the PCB and circuit itself, and it will take the more project time as you develop certain things. Then you have tested. If you failed, you need to rebuild the entire thing. You cannot change the program like a PLC. Okay, and finally PLC control is evolved, and we are going to see this topic in very detail. Now we'll see relay, the most important topic in industrial automation, because all the systems are depending upon the logic used in relay. Also we used to say the ladder logic to the relay ladder logic, because ladder logic has the base from the relay. So you must know the relay. What is inside relay? In a relay there is a coil and contacts. The two types of contact is normally open contact and normally closed contact. Here we can say this upper contact is normally closed and lower contact is normally open. Here are two terminals for the coil. So here also we have the slide for that. This is normally open contact, this is normally closed contact. What is normally open contact? When we used to give the supply to the coil, normally open contact will get closed. NC contact, at initial condition it will close, on energization it will open. Combination of contact, normally open contact is there and normally closed contact is there. At initial condition, the load through normally closed contact will energized. As I give the supply to the coil, this NC becomes open and NO becomes closed, and the load connected to the NO contact will be energized. Who define normal state? The spring will define the normal state. So by spring poles, those contacts are closed are known as a normally closed contact. By spring poles, those contacts are open are known as normally open contact. So do not confuse in between NO and NC. Many people used to say that NO becomes NC, NC becomes NO. So this is not going to happen. NC never becomes NO and NO never becomes NC. At normal condition, those contacts are closed. Means by spring force, those contacts are closed are known as a NC. And by spring force, those contacts are open are known as NO. Who moves common contact of a relay? The coil will move the common contact of a relay. When you give the supply to the coil, this contact will get or we can say the armature will get attracted towards the our electromagnet, and the changeover will happen. The normally open contacts become closed and normally closed contact become open. The load connected here we have a load which is connected to the normally open contact. When I used to give supply to 5 volt to the coil, this load will be started. Before starting a PLC, we must know about the sensors or field devices connected to the PLC. We have one proximity sensor with us. This is optical proximity sensor. If I senses this sensor, you will see the state of the indicator is changing. This is normally closed sensor. When physical parameter is not there, the output is on. When physical parameter or physical the quantity, the sensing, whatever the object is came in front of the sensor, you can see it changes the state. Okay, this is what the proximity sensors. There are many types of proximity sensor depending upon the principle of operation, depending upon the how many wires it has, depending upon the what type of signal it is giving. Like 2-wire sensor, 3-wire sensor. 2-wire it has 2 wire, 3-wire sensor it has 3 wire. Here we have 3-wire sensor. Okay, this is one 24 volt brown wire, blue wire, and this black wire that is connected to the output. The 24 volt, 0 volt, and output. Okay, this is normally closed sensor. So at initial condition, when physical parameter is not there, it giving the output. As soon as physical parameter is it came in front of the sensor, it releases the output. Okay, so that's what the NC. NO sensor, when the physical parameter came in front of the sensor, it will give the output. 3-wire, 4-wire proximity sensor. Typically 3-wire proximity sensor has the 2 types of transistor inside that. That is NPN transistor and PNP transistor. NPN, which will give the negative output, PNP will give the positive output. This is PNP sensor. As this is PNP sensor, it gives the positive output. Another terminal of the load is connected to the negative terminal of the power supply. Here you can see the NPN sensor gives negative output, so another terminal of load is connected to the positive terminal of the power supply. In case of PNP sensor, you need to connect the another terminal of the load to the negative terminal of the supply. Here we can see the interfacing of the 3-wire sensor. It has 3 wires, one positive, one negative, one output is there. Output is connected to the load and another terminal of load is connected to minus, as we have the PNP NC proximity sensor with us. So we have this type of proximity sensor. Okay. Other types of proximity sensors like inductive sensor, capacitive sensor, optical proximity sensor, reed switch, that is magnetic proximity sensor. This is optical proximity sensor. Inductive proximity will sense the metallic object. Of capacitive proximity will sense the liquid or powder form. Magnetic proximity sensor will sense the magnet, and this optical IR proximity will sense any non-transparent material. Now we'll see analog sensors. There are 2 types of analog sensors. Few analog sensors having the very low output, or non-standard output that cannot be connected directly to the PLC. So we need to connect the transmitter in between the PLC and the analog sensor. So if the sensor giving very low output signal, or sensor is not capable to generate the output which is standard electrical signal like 4 to 20 milliampere, 0 to 5 volt, 1 to 5 volt, like. If this is not there, we need to add the transmitter in between the sensor and the PLC. So this transmitter will amplify signal, it will reduce the noise, it will condition the signal, and will give the standard output to the PLC. Okay. Another type of sensors which are able to generate the proper 0 to 10 volt or 4 to 20 milliampere output, like potentiometer based the sensors that can be directly connected to the PLC. Now the next example of the analog sensor is the level transmitter. We know that what is the capacitance. This is capacitive level transmitter. We know that what is capacitor. Capacitance, that capacity of that capacitor to store the energy. So that is totally depending upon the plate area of the plate, and different distance between two plates, and the dielectric material available in between these two plates. If I change this dielectric material, what will happen? The capacitance will change. So this change in capacitance will be detected and converted into the standard electrical signal by means of the level transmitter. We can measure the exact level of the tank by using the capacitive level transmitter. Another sensor is there, that is temperature transmitter and temperature sensor. There are two types of sensor normally popular in a temperature measurement, that is PT thermocouple and RTD. Okay, so PT100 is connected to the transmitter. Transmitter will convert the data of that sensor into the standard electrical signal, that is 420 milliampere, and that will be given to the PLC. Now we'll move on the very important topic, that is introduction to the PLC. Before understanding introduction to the PLC, we'll go to see what is the need of PLC. What was the scenario before the PLC? So there were the hardware panels. They are very bulky, very complex. We have already seen the history of PLC. General Motors identified the following requirements and put it in front of the Harvard University, that the device should be solid state, that should not be mechanical, that input output should be easy to modify, easy to program and maintained by the plant electrician, and able to function in industrial environment. This requirement of GM, General Motors, has been taken care by two companies initially, Modicon and Allen-Bradley, and produced the first PLC. That PLC was in 1960s used the same functionality existing relay logic. So relay logic has been converted into the PLC logic. These PLC are programmable, reusable and reliable, and they can stand in an industrial harsh environment. It has no hard drives and battery backup, and could start in a few seconds, and it uses the ladder diagram for the programming. That is the relay logic ladder diagram that we are going to see in a detail. What is PLC? In my definition of PLC, that programmable, that is able to program what? Logic in the form of different languages, ladder, MBD, STL, SFC, CFC, toward the controlling action. Okay, this is what the PLC. What are the advantages of the PLC system? So we'll go one by one. This first advantage of the PLC control system is the flexible. PLC control system is very flexible and very simple. So we can see this is the control of the motor and two indicators, two contactors for the motors and two indicators. To control these two indicator and two contactor of the motor by means of relay logic, we need to, or hardware logic, we need to implement these complex wiring diagram for achieving the same result, which will achieved by the PLC using this 5 wires only, 1 input and 4 output wires, only 5 wires, and all this entire stuff has been replaced by this logic. Okay, so this will increase the reliability. Flexibility, in case of some updates, if I found I am OEM of the machine, I have produced so many machines. After that, I found that this is the common problem in my product is continuously occurring. So I need to resolve that by changing this logic. I have changed that logic. I send this logic to my customer. My customer will just connect his laptop to his machine or PLC and download the program, updated program that provided by me, and he will get the free from that existing bugs. Lower cost. Today the PLC has such a low cost that if you are going to manufacture a control panel having the more than 6 contactors or relays, it is better to go with PLC in a long run. What are the advantages of next advantage of PLC? That is communication capability. It has very today's PLC are very communication friendly. It has 3-4 communication port at least, like TCP IP, like RS232, RS485, RS422 and so on. Faster response time. PLC has very fast response time. In a microsecond PLC can perform 0.02 microsecond, 0.01 microsecond. This is current the processing time of the PLC. Easy to troubleshoot. PLC has so many interfaces so that you can find the fault, go to that location and troubleshoot that the fault within a second. Like PLC has LED indicators on its IO card or the CPU. Some PLCs has LCD on that CPU. Also, you can connect the programming cable, go online and check where at what point their program has been stuck. Okay, so it is very easy to troubleshoot. Then next we have completed the advantages of PLC. Now we'll go ahead with the PLC architecture. What is inside a PLC? PLC has central processing unit, input and output cards, memories, program memory, and some bus that connects this entire system, which has separate bus system for data, address and control. This is a simple PLC system. In a PLC system, we have following ingredients like it has a power supply, it has central processing unit. In that central processing unit, we have memories for program, for data and for process. Again, we have the analog input modules, output modules, digital input modules, digital output modules. Input sensing devices are connected to the input modules. Output or load devices are connected, or indicators are connected to the output modules. Both an input and output module has optical isolation, and we have the programming devices like PC or handheld computers. Okay, this is the PLC architecture. Then IO configuration, depending upon the what type of PLC you are using, it has so many classifications. Many people used to classify PLC in a different manner, but simplest is the compact, modular and rack. There are three types of PLC: compact PLC, modular PLC and rack PLC. Compact PLC are very small PLC having the fixed input output. Modular PLC has different modules, we can expand up to certain limit, and rack PLC has very huge capacity of interfacing input output up to lakhs input output, 2 lakh, 3 lakh input output can be interfaced with the PLC. This is modular system. This is also modular, or we can say the rack systems. Power supply, which is essential element in a PLC system. Without that, PLC cannot function. There are so many types of power supplies as there, like 5 volt, 10 volt, 12 volt and 24 volt. Normally 24 volt and 230 volt PLC are more popular. CPU, central processing unit, the CPU which has the microprocessor inside that, which processes the entire logics and take the decisions. IO, there are so many types of IO. Analog input output IO is there, discrete input output IO there, 24 volt DC, syncing, sourcing, 230 volt, or we can say TRIAC. Also we have different types of analog modules like RTD module, temperature module, we can say RTD and thermocouple module are there, load cell modules are there, and communication modules are there, CP, communication processors like Ethernet module is there, RS-232 module is there, 485 module there, so that we can connect any type of devices with PLC. Any automatic system has three parts. First, input devices, another controlling devices, and third, output devices. Input devices are nothing but the input push button, toggle switches, selector switches or sensors, which gives the feedback to the system, that is controlling system or controller. Second device is controller. Controller is nothing but the temperature controller or PLC or any controller. It may be possible your personal computer is act as a controller. And output device, output devices which gives output to the user, or physical actuators. We can say output is nothing but actuators like relays, contactors, motor, blower, cylinders, or any mechanical actuator. Okay, so any automation system consists of these three devices. See, if we'll take a simple example. If I have a pen, I need to design a system, or how, if I analyze myself how I work when I need to pick this pen from this location and drop to this location, very first I will see the position of the pen. Then my brain will give command to my hand to go, that is actuator, that is nothing but the actuator. The sense, control and actuate, this cycle is continuously running. Sense, control, actuate, sense, control and actuate. This is very fast, so we cannot observe this thing, but this thing is actually happening with us. Very first I am looking towards the pen, then I am taking the judgment at how much my hand has to be moved, then I am moving that hand. Also, when my hand is moving, my eyes continuously giving feedback to my brain. This is what the automation process. To do a certain task, we should require these three things: the sensing devices, controlling devices and actuating devices. If anyone has the complete knowledge of these three devices, the sensing devices, controlling devices and actuating devices, he will be the automation engineer. Okay, so very first we'll see what are the input devices. So input devices are nothing but the push buttons, toggle switches, selector switches, pressure sensors, relay, contacts of the relays, limit switches, analog sensors and so on. Then output devices are solenoids, pilot lamps, contactors, relays, motor starters, solenoid valves, indicators and and other actuators like motors and so on. So then programming device, that controller has to be programmed by means of the programming device. It may possible this programming device is your laptop or your personal computer or handheld unit supplied by the manufacturer. Few manufacturers, now this trend is outdated, few manufacturers used to send the handheld computers or handheld displays to program their devices. Then we'll see a simple process of a mixer and the pressure sensor, temperature sensor and manual push button. Problem definition is this: if at a manual condition, if I press the manual push button, our stirrer motor should be on, and at auto condition, my pressure and temperature, when pressure and temperature both are reached at the optimum level or set point, then motor should turn on. This scenario or this the problem definition can be solved using two methods. One ancient method, that is our contactor logic or relay logic. Another is PLC. In a contactor logic, what we have to do, we have to take the supply that connect to the pressure switch, again that is connected to the temperature switch in series, and that is connected to the motor with overload NC contact and connected to the neutral line. When pressure is achieved, this contact will close. When temperature is achieved, this contact will close and this will turn on the motor. Or when I press the manual push button, motor will turn on. If I need to achieve this scenario by means of the PLC, what I have to do, I have to take the one PLC. I will connect the input sensors to sensors and push button to the input card of a PLC. Then I will connect pressure switch to the input 1, temperature switch to the input 2, manual push button to the input 3, and I will connect the motor starter coil to the output card of a PLC, and I will program this ladder to that PLC. I will get the similar result. Here these are the symbols represent the instructions, and these are the addresses represented the physical the devices are connected at what pin number. Okay, so this is PLC ladder logic. Then I need to program that PLC, then I need to change the mode. Normally PLC has 2 or 3 modes, right? Run mode, program mode and remote mode. Run mode, PLC will perform the function, but we cannot program the PLC. In a remote mode, we can program the PLC, we can modify the program, also we can monitor the program. In a program mode, the machine function will not be there, means PLC will not function, but programming will be done. PLC operation cycle, how PLC works. PLC has 2 operating cycles, one IO scan and one program scan. This is PLC, the instructions. This is NO instruction, this is OT instruction. We'll go in detail. Here, modification of that system. We have seen the system having the one motor and two sensors and one manual push button. If I need to change the logic, even if manual operation, temperature should be there to start the motor. To achieve this performance by means of the relay logic, what I need to do, I need to disconnect the wire from there and reconnect wire to this point. This will insert this manual push button in the series of the temperature switch and will be given to the motor. So even if I press the manual push button, if temperature is not there, motor will not start. So to change the system, we need to modify the wiring. In case of PLC, no rewiring is necessary. You just modify program and download to it, you will get the same result. Now we'll see what is difference between your personal computer and PLC. PLC is designed for the industrial environment. Personal computer is designed for the office or personal use. PLC has the relay ladder logic or FBD, STL like programming language. PC, many programming language can be simulated or can be programmed at the PC. In case of PLC, there is no hard disks, no CD drives, no keyboards, monitors, and has very limited communication ports. This is the difference between personal computer and PLC. PLC is also computing device used for industry. So we can say PLC is nothing but the industrial computer, PC is your personal computer. Now we'll see fundamental of PLC programming. To understand the PLC program, we must know the memory allocation inside a PLC. So PLC has memory that is divided into many subparts. We can say the program memory, data memory. Like here, the program memory has these parts: the system function, reserve, user program, and subroutine program. User program, that is main program that is continuously running. Subroutine program, those program when as and when required, we used to call that program. As our task is completed, we again switch into the main program. Again, whenever the required, we can call another sub program, that is subroutine program. Okay. Then the data files, there are so many data files like output image, input image, status, beat, timer, counter, control, integer. We can see this practically. We have the software of RS Logic 500 with us. We can see the practically with our hands, direct PLC. We have this program files, the system function, then main program. We can add the sub program over here by adding the new. Then we have input data table. This is input data files. All the input status are stored over here. Like we have connected the three push buttons and two push button and one sensor. That is, three inputs are there. This push button, selector switch, and this input is there. Push button is off, so the status is showing 0. Selector switch is off, so status is showing 0. This sensor is NC type, so it's showing the status 1. When I senses the sensor, it goes to 0. Okay, so this is input data file. Like output data file is there, then your status is there, binary is there, timer is there, counter is there. These all the data files are available inside a PLC. Okay, so PLC has so many memories, are divided into two main category: program memory and data memory. Inside a program memory, there is reserve, user program, subroutine program. Inside data memory, there are so many data like output, input, status, bit, timer, and so data files allocated for input and output it's in the form of tables. Okay, these are in the form of tables of 16, like this, 0 to 16. So that addressing we'll see in the next topic, the addressing of Allen Bradley PLC and how that addressing works. Currently we can say that this is first input, this second, this third, this fourth, fifth. Now we'll see next topic, how PLC works. PLC has its scan pattern, or we can say scan cycle. If PLC has very small scan cycle or scan timing, then that PLC is better. So PLC scan timing is typically in milliseconds, few milliseconds. So how PLC works? PLC works in a 3 stages. It reads input, run the program, adjust the output according to the input status and the logic inside a program. Okay. So this is input card, this is output card, this is CPU. So it will read the status, compare the status with the logic of the program, and adjust the output according to the input status and logic of the program. So very first how it checks the input and how it stores inside the memory. We can directly see this is physical input connected to the input card. Here we have input card. This is one input card is there. This is also another input card is there. Okay. So whatever input is connected to these input cards, that will be sensed, and the status of that input will be stored in the input data table. So here is our software. Here is our input data table. These inputs are allocated particular pin like this. This I:0.0/0. This is first pin. Then I:0.0/1 second pin likewise. So if the signal is available at this pin, then this will show 1 like this. If I press this input, means I have given signal to this very first input, so it will rectify 1. If I given the input to the second, it will show at second location. If I change the status of the third input, it will change like this. So the physical input connected to the input card, the status of that input will be stored inside a data table that is allocated for input. The physical input is off, it will store 0. Physical input is on, it will store 1. Likewise, if for the output, if the status is 1, then physical output will on. If status is 0, physical output will off. We can see the practical here. The physical input, the physical output is off, and output data table shows the 0. When I press the input, see here, it's read the input, run the program, adjust the output according to the input status and logic of the program. Here as soon as this 1 is there, is showing the conductivity, so this is turning on. As this turning on, this will rectify to 1. If this is 1, the physical output will on. Okay. Data flow, how data flow is flowing inside a PLC. Physical, again same thing I am repeating to understand this completely. The physical input is connected over here, so that will be rectified into the input data table. Again, with that is compared or manipulated with this logic of the program, and the output will result of that result. We can say this is result of logical operation, RLO. This is a technical word used in ladder. RLO, result of logical operation, will be stored in the output image file, and that will be affect the physical output status. Scan process. Push button connected to the input card, then input data file, output data file. Input data file will be compared with the program, and output data file will update according to the output data file. Physical output turn on. So scan patterns. Scans pattern means how PLC scans or check the program. Okay, how it compares the input with the program, logic of the program. So it has the few patterns like horizontal scanning, vertical scanning, and diagonal scanning. Diagonal scanning is most popular in nowadays. Okay, the PLC programming language, which language are used for the PLC programming? There are so many languages like a ladder, FBD, STL, SFC, CFC, IL. These are the language normally used in a PLC. Few PLC supports one language, few PLC supports more than one languages. like Siemens has 3 languages: ladder, FBD, STL. Allen Bradley Microelectronics has only 1 language, and other PLC has 2-3 languages of different series. So that depending upon the manufacturers, what options and what for what purpose the PLC is used, at what level you are going to use that PLC. For small application and simple application, we used to use the ladder. For complex, the instruction list, we can say, or for batch process, the SFC or CFC are more used. For DCS, CFC and SFC is more popular. So this is the comparison between the existing the relay schematic with the ladder and with Boolean language. This is the relay type instruction. This is very important part. Ladder has 2 main components. One is rail. This is positive rail, negative rail, and this is the rung. And it has instructions, that is normally open instruction, normally close instruction, and OTE, output energized instruction. We'll go in detail with normally open instruction, that is XIC, examine if close. What does it mean by? It will examine the close condition. Like, see, here is a loop from positive to negative. From positive, we have connected the terminal to the contact of this push button. Then another terminal is connected to input, and the common contact of the input card that is connected to negative terminal of our SMPS. So if this loop is completed, if this circuit is completed, that means your condition is closed. So if this condition is closed, then this input, this instruction will execute. Okay, like this. If the status is 1, then it will conduct. If status is 0, it will not conduct. We'll see this practically. We have the physical input connected to the PLC. As I press this input, the input data file will update to 1, and if input data file is updated 1, then this input is this instruction is conducting, and it will show the result at output side. Then XIO, examine if open. It will examine for the open condition. If the open, then it will conduct. If status is 0, it will conduct. If status is 1, it will not conduct. It is equivalent to normally close contact of a relay. So here we can see the same addressing I have given to NC. So if the status of input is 0, it is conducting. As I press, the status of input will changes to 1, and it will not conduct. Then OT is nothing but the coil of a relay or coil inside a PLC program. So this is instruction that represented coil. So as if I give the supply to this instruction, or if the run or result of logical operation is true, then this will rectify this status into output data file, and that will be reflected in a physical output. If I press this is conducting, then this is turn on. Physical as this turns on, it will write its status into the output data file, and physical output will turn on. Then output energized, we have the 2 inputs over here. If both inputs are conducting, then output will on. Only one is conducting, this is not conducting, so physical output will not on. This is addressing actually, this O:013 the 013/1, O:012/11, O:012/15. We'll go in detail with this, how the addressing is of different PLCs, different brand of PLC, how addressing works, what is bit, byte. That concept we'll see in later topics. Currently we are focusing only how PLC works, what is inside a PLC, what is memory, what is table, and these all things. Okay, see, here is a input module, and physical input is connected. If this input is not pressed at this condition, then it will show status 0. If I press this input, it will show the status 1. This practically we have seen this. Okay, then ladder rung. This is a rung, this is rail, and it has combination of inputs we can put over here. Combination of series parallel or combination of series of parallel we can put over here, and this is output instruction. One rung will contain only one output at output side, at right side, and combination of input at left side. This is ORing condition. Either if this is valid, then is also okay, or this path is valid, then also output will turn on. Run continuity, if this is continuity, then output will turn on. Not continuity, it will not show. Here the complete scenario, we have the input card, physical input is there. If this input is closed, it will show the status 1. This run, this is what the read the input, run the program, adjust the output according to the input status and logic of the program. This is how PLC works. Parallel output can be connected in parallel, but output cannot be connected in series. Each and every PLC has the limitations of maximum parallel and series contact, so we must follow this. Vertical placement like relay schematic is not possible inside a PLC, so you need to reprogram using the required logic. You need to replace this like this. This is the first this is the first path, this is the second path, then this is a third path, like that. So you need to recalculate all the paths and prepare the program for PLC logic, because vertical placement of a contact is not possible inside a PLC logic that is available in the relay logic. Internal control relay is nothing but when you cannot put many inputs, input in a single row or in a single. When you cannot put many input in a single run, then you need to put the result in a binary or temporary address, and you can reuse that temporary address again in a next run. Here you can say the result of this is stored over here, and that can be used over here, and again the result of the final result will be rectified over here. So that is nothing but the practically we can see this is the software. Here you can say, here I can put B3:0/0. This is not physical output, this is the internal memory, and that internal memory can be connected over here, and we can put either O:0.0, the physical output over here. Download this program, check the program, physical input is on. The result of this run will be stored at this, and result of this will be rectified at physical output, like this. Then XIO instruction, difference between what is XIC, what is XIO, what is OT. Logic is 0, XIC will show the false result. Logic 1, XIC will show the true result. XIO will be exactly opposite to XIC. Now we'll see introduction to Allen-Bradley PLC. To understand the Allen-Bradley PLC, we must know what are the series available in Allen-Bradley PLC. The smallest series in Allen-Bradley, that is Pico controller. These are controller available in market currently. I think these are replaced by the another series, but still many industries are using these PLCs. Okay, these are the Pico series PLC, and we can use the Pico sort for programming of this PLC, or we can directly have the programming for small machines on this display. The next series is Micro 800. It is very good series. It has the 3-4 sub series like Micro 810, Micro 820, Micro 830, Micro 850 controllers. These controllers look like this, and this is very good series actually. This is used for the medium and small applications. Okay, then Micrologic series is there, that we have seen actually, and we are going to see in detail. We have Micrologic 1100 controller with us for the programming, that hands-on training. Okay, then these are the sub series available in Micrologic's series, that is Micrologic's 1100, 1200, 1400. These are PLC available in market. Then SLC 500 series controllers are available that can be expanded up to 4096 IO capacity. I am not going today into detail with this what are the features available with these controllers and so, because we have very limited time. We can see that we can see that in a later words. Okay, then compact and control logic systems are available. Those are supported for few thousand to few lakhs input output, and these PLC are used for the DCS type of control systems. Okay, then smart guard safety PLC is available for class 3 product. People used to use the smart guard 600 safety controller. Control logics and compact control logic series up to 1,28,000 input output. For DCS system we can use entire plant can be handled by means of these controllers. Communication with Allen-Bradley PLC. Allen-Bradley PLC has the many communication protocols. ABDF1 is there, Ethernet protocol is there. So we will see this in with practical example, that ABDF1 series, that is RS232 or 422 cable can be connected with the PLC, and we can have the programming, or we can have communication with different devices like barcode reader, barcode printer, RFID reader, then any communication controllers like temperature controller, data logger, printer, and many more. Ethernet and IP protocol also very popular today. All the devices are day by day switching to the Ethernet protocol. This is most popular protocol in nowadays. Modbus, the protocol invented by the Modbus. If you don't have any option, then we can go with Modbus, because each and every device in industrial automation supports Modbus protocol. Okay, Modbus normally has ASCII and RTU type of data format. Today we are not going to in detail with that. Communication is not our today's objective. Today's objective is to understand the Allen-Bradley PLC. Okay, the DH plus protocol is there, DH485 protocol is there. Which are the languages are used in the Allen-Bradley? The normally ladder, FBD, STL, IL, CFC, ST, and Boolean. These are the languages are used in Allen-Bradley PLC. Softwares in Allen-Bradley: Rockwell Automation. So Pico for Pico, PicoSoft for Micro Connected Component Workbench, CCW. For Micrologics, RS Logic 500, SLC 500, RS Logic 500. Again, Compact Logics, RS Logic 5000, and Studio 5000 Logic Designer. Control Logic Studio 5000 Logic Designer. I will see, this is our Micrologics 1100 controllers. I just start the. We'll say Micrologics Programmable Logic Controller. Micrologics 1100 series has the communication ports. Actually, it has two communication ports physically, but actually it has the three communication protocols. This is one RS485/232 communication port, and this is RJ45, that is TCP/IP protocol. Okay. It supports four communication protocols: TCP/IP or Ethernet/IP, and RS232 and 485. Okay, so up to 145 digital input output can be expanded like this. We have added two expansion cards over here. So this is input card, this is output card. This is base CPU. It has embedded input outputs. Then we can expand up to 144 digital input output cards. Softwares for Micrologic series and SLC 500 series, there are three softwares. RS Logic 500 for programming, that we have seen. This is RS Logic 500 for programming software. RS Links for communication, it handles communications, or communication can be handled over here. And third, RS Logic Emulator for dummy PLC for simulation only. If you don't have physical PLC, you can have the simulation software and you can simulate the program with this RS Logic Emulator. Communication, I already said that it has two COM port, that is COM0 and COM1. COM0 has two communication capability, RS232, 485. COM1 has two communication protocol capability, Ethernet/IP. Expansion, We can have the expansion cards. There are many types of expansion cards available with this PLC. It has some accessories we can add. We can expand the memory of this PLC, and we can have the programming cable, different RS485 DH plus programming cables can be connected. This is the product specs. We have this PLC with us, 1763L160BB. It has 24 volt DC powered. We have connected 24 volt. This is 24 volt SMPS. We have connected 24 volt and minus 24 volt supply over here. It has the memory of 4K for programming and data. It has battery backs. We can see here we have battery. Digital input output. It has 624 volt DC. 4 fast input. It has fast input, so we can directly interface the encoder with this PLC. Okay, high speed encoder. It also has the high speed output. 2 fast output are there. 2 fast output means you can run 2 servo or 2 stepper motor with this PLC. Okay, then it has some relay outputs, so we can directly have the 230 volt or AC or DC supply. We can switch this supply with this PLC. It has the Ethernet port, that is Ethernet/IP protocol. Ethernet/IP, it supports only messaging. That means you can send the message to another PLC, or that PLC can send the message to this PLC. This can be done directly. Continuous communication cannot be done with this PLC. Okay, then it has that specification of high speed input and output as I mentioned over here. This is PWM/PTO, that is pulse train output or pulse width modulation output can be generated with this PLC. It has LCD screen, floating point math, that is we can have the mathematics instruction that supports the floating point, like 0 point something like this, 1 point something like this. Online editing is possible, and it's embedded input output. The specification is mentioned over here, like it has the 6 our PLC is this one, so it has 10 inputs and 2 analog inputs also. It has 2 analog input embedded on its base module itself, so we can directly interface 0 to 10 volt analog input to this PLC directly. Specification of analog input is mentioned over here, that is how much resolution that can be done with this PLC. Supports 1024 resolution. Okay, and this expansion IO can be expanded. These are the expansion cards available with this PLC. These are the expansion cards available. Analog cards also available. Temperature card also available. I already said it supports 0 to 123, means 124 resolutions to the analog input. Then files, I already said to what are the files: the output file, input file, status file, beat, timer, counter, etc. Addressing, the most important topic of this presentation, that is addressing. Without addressing you cannot have the programming. So what is inside addressing? Any address, we used to put the address i:0.0/0. Very first, this I denotes the which file you are dealing with, that is input file, output file, status, binary, timer, or anything. For output, that will be O. For input, that will be I. For status, yes. For binary, B. For timer, D. For counter, C. Likewise. Then data file number. Here for input output we do not put 0/1, but for binary we used to put B3. Here we can see B3:0/0, right? T4, that is fourth. This is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is nothing but data file number. This is slot delimiter. Then slot number. This is base slot. This will be having the address 0, 1, 2, 3 like this. So if I add the slot, here is the IO configuration tab. Here we can add the input output card to the PLC. So if I add like this, which card is this? digital input IQ system input IQ system, that is added. And another card is OW system, output card OW system. So we can see this is the slot number 0, this is slot number 1, this is slot number 2. Also this is also updated here, this slot number G1. Okay, here for output slot number 2. So this is slot number, then word delimiter, then word number, word that is set of 16 bit. This is 16 bit supported PLC, so after 16 bit word number will update. If this PLC has more than 16 input, then next input will be denoted as 1/0. Then bit number 0 to 15, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 9, because it has only 10 inputs. This is about the addressing in a Allen-Bradley PLC. So we have seen addressing in Allen-Bradley PLC. Likewise, we have another addressing like timer T4:0. You can see practically T4. We can take the timer over here, T4:0. Then reset, we have given 10 seconds. If I put this input here, if I want to use this timer address, further address T4:0/DN, this is done bit of this timer, and we can have the another output 4:0.0/1, the next output. And download the program, run. You can see if I press this input, after 10 seconds this output will on. So this is about the addressing. Likewise, counter addressing is the C5:0, then DN C5:0/DN CTU/ACC. Data types. Data means information types in which format support the PLC. PLC support the following formats. It supports Boolean, short integer, double integer, and real. The ranges of this data format is mentioned over here from 0 to this. Okay. Programming the PLC. So we'll see the following steps. Very first, we need to open the RSLogic 500 software, then create new project. Then we need to write the program, then save the program, then transfer the program to the PLC, monitor and test your program. So first you need to click on the start button, then you need to go to Rockwell Softwares, then RSLogic 500 English, then RSLogic 500. Then you need to go to select the new program and choose the series that which PLC do you have. You need to select in the drop down menu, and then OK. And you need to save the file. Then this is the RSLogic 500 window. So very first, here you have the project window over here. So all the programs files, data files, forces files, and other controller properties, processor status, all you can see over here. Then this is program viewer. Here you can see the program, all the program, that logic, ladder logic, you can see over here. Then the program tabs over here. These are the program tabs like this. The ladder, if you double click on the ladder 2, then you will find this file to open. If you have multiple ladder, that is subroutine programs, then and you will click on that, you will find the multiple ladders or multiple windows will appear over here. Then the instruction buttons are available here, all the instruction set, and you can change the instruction tab by clicking here. Okay. Then menu bar is here, toolbar is here, processor status you can see at this position, whether you are offline or online or whatever. If you are online, then this part is it will rotate. Then you need to create the rungs. After creating the rungs, you need to save the program and download that. We'll see this with our software itself. So you need to open the RSLogic 500 software, click the files or new, or you can click here directly. So you need to select your processor, which processor you are going to program. Then you need to select the instructions from here. Then you need to put the addressings that we have already seen, i:0.0/0. If you want to give the name or symbol to that input, that is INP input 1 symbol, INP1, like this. If you want to add the run title, add the title, page title and run title, first program, my first project. If you want to add the output, then O:0.0/0, enter address here, OP1. For to download this to physical PLC, you need to add the communication protocol inside RSLinx Classic. For that purpose, you need to go to communication, configure drivers. You need to select which configure drivers you are going to use while programming the PLC. So you have many communication drivers. If you have the Ethernet protocol, you need to select the Ethernet/IP drivers. If you have RS-232 cable with you, then you need to select RS-AB-DF1, that is RS-232-DF1 devices. Then you need to click on add, and you need to select which Ethernet connection or which the LAN card you are using. You need to select that and click OK and close. You will find that automatically this PLC will pop up over here. With that IP address, you can see the IP address by navigating the Ethernet setting from this display. Okay, and then you need to click on the controller properties tab. In controller communication, who's active, you need to check which this active connection is there, Ethernet IP, then IP. Okay, apply and OK. Then click over here. Before that, you need to check the program, whether your program is projecting correct or not. Then check this. I will make one mistake and we'll check the program, where program is doing correct or not. I:0.0, enter. Okay, and now I am checking the program. So the address must be at the specific bit level, the specified bit level. So complete address is not there, so I need to put the complete address. And then check the program, compile the project, and click over here to download the project. Download the name, my first. Download. Do you want to change the run mode to program mode? I already said that you'll see 3 modes: run mode, program mode, and online mode or remote mode. Currently PLC is in a remote mode, so it will automatically change to program mode as soon as program is downloaded. It will automatic switches to the run mode. Now you are in a remote run mode and you are online. Here you can see the status of the physical input. As I press the physical input, it will show green. This output will turn on. As it releases, will off. On. Okay, here I completed the introduction to the software part. Now we'll go ahead with the few assignments on Allen-Bradley PLC. Okay, to understand XIC, XIO and OT, we'll see the logic gates equivalent ladder diagram. if you know the NOT gate, AND gate and OR gate, then you can build up the logic inside a PLC ladder, because the entire ladder logic, NONC and OT, is depending on the NOT gate, AND gate and OR gate operation. Okay, so we'll go ahead with very first gate, that is NOT gate. Input is off, output should on. If its input is on, output should on. NOT gate I:0.0/0 K, and output is Y O:0.0/0. So we'll download this program, take the output. When input is off, physical input is released, input is off, output is on. When I press the input, when input is on, output becomes off. This is the NOT gate. Then we'll build OR gate. Any one input is on, output should turn on. First response 0 0 0, 0 1 0 1 1 0 1 1 1. Then we'll see the AND gate. When both input are on, then and then output should on. Zero 1 0, 1 0 0, 1 1 1. We'll say XOR. Zero 0 output is 0, 0 1 output is 1, 1 0 output is 1, 1 1 output is 0. This is what the XOR gate. Now we'll see timers in Allen Bradley PLC. There are three types of timers available in Allen Bradley PLC: T-on, T-off and RTO. Very first we'll see the T-on timer, on delay timer. Here I:0.0. Addressing for timer is T4:0, that is 0th timer. Time base, this is multiplication factor to the preset value. In short, whether I want this time base in a second, millisecond or microsecond. So I put it here second, then preset I put 5 seconds. Okay, then I will take another the NO contact where I will give the addressing T4:0./DN, and I will take the output O:0.0/done bit. Rather than done bit, there are enable and TT bit also there. We'll take this entire things, enable bit, 4:0 dot en O:0 dot 0/1 dn MTT timer timing. Enable bit is nothing but the input of a timer. Here this I:0.0/0, if healthy, then en bit will be healthy. Okay. Then TT bit is a timer timing. This is the we can say this as an interval timer. We can treat as an interval timer. Whenever the accumulator is counting or timer is counting, the TT bit will be on. When accumulator reaches to the preset value, the done bit will on. We'll see this pattern. Enable is on. TT is counting. After completion of 5 seconds, TT becomes off and done become on. If you want an interval timer, you can use timer timing bit. If you want the on delay timer, then you can use done bit. We'll see one simple assignment on this. If input is on, light will be on for 10 seconds, off for 5 seconds, again it will on for 10 seconds, again off for 5 seconds, and this will be the infinite time. Okay, so we'll create the assignment on this. I'm turning on the input. We'll see the output is on for 5 seconds, for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, it will off for 5 seconds. Okay. How it's working? When input is turning on, this timer is on. After the completion of this the 10-second timing, it turns on the second timer, that is T4:1, and on completion of this timer, I'm resetting the first timer. Okay, that's why it's continuously sliding for 10 seconds on, 5 seconds off, 10 seconds on, 5 seconds. Now we'll see counter instruction in Allen-Bradley. Here we can take this first input, then we will take one up counter. There are two types of counter available in Allen-Bradley: up counter and down counter. Addressing of counter will be C5:0. Preset will put 5. Then C5:0 dot DN, and physical output will turn on O:0 dot 0. Now download this. We download this this program to PLC. First time press and release. Accumulator counts value is 1, again then 2, 3, 4, 5. On completion of 5 cycle or 5 pulses, the counter accumulator reaches to the preset value and it gives output. Also you can compare or move this value using the next instruction, that is limit instruction. We can have the limit instruction, then we can use the test C5:0.A accumulator, that it should be 0 to 2. In between 0 to 2 it should give the output. Remove this. This is compare instruction. 1, it gives the output. 2, it gives output. As soon as it's exceeding above the high limit, the output is turned on. So we can move this value into another register, like we have the integer n7. We can use the move instruction. Source is C5:0.ACC. Data types are important. If I have the instruction that's supported for the integer instruction, then I should use integer. If it's supported to the float, then I should use float. Okay, and destination is like n7:0. Okay, now this program. See, is continuously moving value inside a n7:0 location. Okay, then this is about the move instruction. We can have the mathematics operation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. We'll try one addition instruction. We'll add C5:0.ACC with 10, and we'll put into the n7:1. See, this value is adding. 3 plus 10 is equal to 13, 4 plus 10 is equal to 14, 15, like this. Okay. This is math instruction. Also we can interface the analog sensor or potentiometer to the PLC. Here I have carried one VFD for 0 to 10 volt. To generate 0 to 10 volt, I am using the potentiometer and supply 10 volt supply from this VFD. Okay, now we'll use the instruction which is scale with parameter, SCP, scale with parameter. Input I:4.0. This is addressing for the first analog input. Okay, I forgot it to. Now we'll see analog interfacing with an LM Bradley PLC. Here I have carried one Delta VFD. It will give me the 10 volt power supply, the 10 volt supply over here. It has two terminals, 0 volt and 10 volt, that I have connected to the potentiometer, and variable terminal is connected to analog input, and common terminal is connected to 0 volt. Okay, to get the analog input in a PLC, we should use the scale with parameter instruction, that SCP, scale with parameter instruction. In an input, I will give the address of analog input, that is I:0.4. Scale with parameter is nothing but the straight line formula which having the equation of y is equal to mx plus b, where the x is input, y is output, and m and b can be calculated from input mean, input max, scale mean, scale max. Okay, at input mean I will put 0, input max I will put 1023, as my ADC has the highest resolution of 1023, and I am using the full scale output of 0 to 10 volt from VFD as an analog input. Okay, scale min will be 0, scale max will be 10, so we can find the actual voltage should be matches with the voltage showing inside the PLC. Okay, inside this output F8 colon 0. Okay, and I will download this PLC and will run this so I'm increasing the voltage. At this point I will check the voltage. Okay, now ADC shows 580, scale with parameter result is 5.6. this multimeter should give the output near to the 5.6. okay, it's giving 5.7, that is 5.669 and 5.7. okay, so this is what the analog interfacing. If I vary the input, it will show the changes in the physical input shown at the ADC value and also output. If you don't want this scaled result, you can directly use the input at anywhere in a PLC, in math instruction or in compare instruction, anywhere. Or normally the user requires output in his format. He is not interested in the what is the ADC's result or what. He is interested in the physical parameter like voltage. I want actual voltage, I want actual water level, I want actual pressure. So that purpose LM developed this instruction scale with parameter. It will give the result in the desired format. Okay, thank you for watching.